So this short talk is called Einstein did not reject ether ? I've dealt with this issue before in other videos, just now have found a good example. And note ether equals medium for light wave. So this is my information source. It's a book by Stanley Goldberg. Goldberg refers to this paper of 1911 by Stewart, and he points out that Stewart made a mistake. Goldberg says, of course, contrary to Stewart's assumption, Einstein never rejected the ether. He chose, he said, to perform his analysis without making use of the concept. Thus, Goldberg thinks Einstein does not reject ether, and Stewart is wrong to think Einstein rejects ether. Of course, the problem is wordplay, trying to work out what Einstein meant in his 1905 paper on special relativity. And so this is Einstein's paper on special relativity translated into English, and I'm going to avoid the problems in translation that I pointed out in other videos and just going by the usual translation. Einstein says the introduction of a luminous ether will prove to be superfluous, and so forth. And the problem is the word superfluous. Stewart interprets it as Einstein rejected the ether, while Goldberg interprets it as Einstein didn't reject the ether, he just didn't use it. So does the ether still exist according to Einstein when he calls it superfluous? A lot of what Einstein says is not precise enough and becomes subjective to different interpretations by those reading him. That's the infuriating nature of Einstein, to be vague. Einstein 1905 says something vague about ether, and what he says later only adds to more vagueness. When Einstein says this later in 1920 about the ether in a talk he gives, that talk can then be interpreted as him bringing back the ether, but there are those who don't want to interpret it that way. Goldberg continues, it was part of the parsimony of his theory of measurement, that's Einstein, nor is the concept of the ether necessary if one assumes the invariance of speed of light. So what does he mean by that? And it's as is usual with such people, they try avoid telling us their reasoning. How does one, if one assumes the invariance of speed of light, lead to ether not being necessary? ? Why does Goldberg think that? He does not say. It raises issues like, if light is a wave, then how does assuming invariance of speed of light mean that it has no medium, i.e. the ether? What does it mean? It's just all vague. Einstein's relativity is just vague on many issues because people want to interpret him in different ways. Is the theory an ether theory or not ends up being answered as some people interpret it as an ether theory and others don't. A theory which is not properly defined is not really a proper theory. Einstein is vague, and that's one of his strengths. Being vague, he allows himself to be interpreted in lots of different ways by different people. Thus they can read into him what they want to believe. A theory should be properly defined. Einstein doesn't do that. And part of the problem is translating what he's saying from German into English. But even going by German, you could say, well, he's being vague. Einstein just fails to give us a proper theory. And that's the end of this little talk. Thank you. Finish.